My mission in life is to help you try to make money in the stock market. But every now and then, that means we need to go off the tape and check in with a privately held company that's upending its particular industry in order to figure out what the future might look like. Consider the case of Mike, that's MIC, the online media company focused on millennials. Mike was created back in 2011 by former Goldman Sachs banker Chris Alchek and his partner Jake Horowitz with the goal of building a media business specifically tailored to a millennial audience. Fast forward to today, and the company now has 10 different divisions from policy to science to music. Mike currently has a monthly audience of 30 million readers, nearly 75% of whom are under the age of 35. They've cracked the code in terms of figuring out what younger people actually want to read and watch. Advertisers have flocked to Mike. So let's take a closer look with Chris Alchek. He's the co-founder and CEO of Mike. Learn more about how his company's doing, where it came from, and where it's headed. Mr. Alchek, welcome to Mad Money. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me, Jim.
See you, Chris. Thank you. All right, Chris. You guys actually are right in our wheelhouse right now. You've got a new product that seems to be of great interest, and just tell people about it.
Yeah, so very quickly, today we launched a new section called Money Mike. As you know, millennials are a massive generation, but they're in a very, I would call it, precarious position financially. Despite being the most diverse, educated, and engaged generation ever, they're also financially illiterate. Only 23% understand basic financial topics, and so we've got an incredible opportunity and responsibility to help this generation understand what's happening in the financial world, what's happening in the technology world, and how they can put those things together to live a better life.
Well, I spent some time with you at your office, and it's very clear you have the pulse. But if you give a sense also away from finance, what having the pulse means for Mike.
Yeah, so Mike was launched with the purpose of becoming the most trusted voice in news for this generation. And why is that needed? I think there's two main reasons. First, millennials have a distinct cultural, social, and political worldview. It's different than previous generations. They care about progress, equality, and purpose, I think, more than other generations. And then the second piece is they're consuming all their content through their phones. And so the platforms have changed, and Mike is adapted to that.
Advertisers recognize this audience, right? Because I was very impressed. I saw a lot of brand name advertisers when I go to the site.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see that advertisers are trying to reach this affluent, engaged young audience, people that have cut the cord, people that are no longer reading or watching legacy media, and we've found new ways and new formats to engage audiences in an authentic way. Advertisers need to tell their stories to millennials in a way that resonates, and Mike is doing that very successfully.
Well, I was there on a specific in the aftermath of a very specific tragedy, the Orlando tragedy. If you can tell people how you cover that so that they understand that this is not some sort of light way to do it. You do it from many different angles.
Yeah, I mean, we take the perspective through and through. Most of the newsroom is millennial. The average age of a Mike employee is 27. And these topics are really personal to us. We have multiple employees who are from South Florida, who are LGBT. And so when we covered Orlando, it's from a distinctly personal perspective. I mean, that was something that hit very close to home for us. And so we covered it from every angle. I mean, we swarmed the story. We sent people down that morning. But we're also taking distinctly a step back and looking at it from a macro perspective in terms of what can we do to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Right. When you cover business, will you cover which companies are sustainable? Because a lot of the sustainable companies tend to do better than others.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, we'll cover which companies are actually doing good for the world, and therefore which companies do people want to go work for and support with their money. I think that's becoming an increasingly important part of the economy, is who's doing good and how are they measuring that.
Now, obviously, if you worked at Goldman Sachs, you're interested in making a profit. Is making a profit at all a contradiction with trying to give the millennials, the best possible product?
I think for Mike, we're in an incredible position where media is changing so fast. There's never been more opportunity. I mean, in the month of June, Mike reached 51 million millennials in that month. So that's 65% of all millennials in the US.
That's incredible. That's way up even from earlier in the year.
Yeah, I mean, we've grown across all platforms 265% over the last 6 months.
Did the interview with President Obama give you some visibility?
It did. I mean, that was a tremendous milestone for the company. And it was my co-founder who interviewed him. He's one of the youngest journalists to do a sit-down with the president. And I think put us on the map not only for our creative storytelling, but our serious reporting as well.
Where are people coming from? You can measure that to going to Mike. How do you get your ears?
Yeah, so 75% are consuming on their phones. So that's the first thing. And then people are consuming from the major social networks, so Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, sending huge amounts of traffic to Mike or consuming huge amount of our video content on those platforms. But then we're also seeing readers come directly to Mike through text messages, through newsletters, through all these new creative formats that are appearing really fast.
Well, I got to tell you, as a journalist and a guy who was at one point fancied to try to do something like you in the particular vertical, which is TheStreet.com, I got to tell you, I wish you the best of luck. I think you're doing great stuff. That's Chris Alchek. He's Mike's co-founder and CEO. Stick with Cramer.
Thank you.
Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.